Weebly this class?
Yeah, I've had a Weebly all year.
Miss Rondo doesn't have a haiku?
No.
Can I get the study guide?
Yes. Oh, wait. Is that the one I scribbled on? No, you're good. Ernesto, this is for you. They've tried to deliver to you 3 times to my class yesterday. All right. So, let's go ahead and start from here. Let me make sure I hit the button. Did I hit the button to record it? I don't think I did. Oh, I did. Okay. All right. So, let's go ahead and talk about 25. So, we're into, there's probably more stats and sequences and series today than there is trig. Okay. Mode means we do the what? The most. So what are our candidates here for the most? Looks like 14. It looks like the other one would have been 10, but that's not a choice even, right? So 14 is repeated 3 times, so it's got to be 14. All right? All right, so last year, the personal best high jumps of track athletes in a nearby state were normally distributed with a mean of 221. So I see that, and I'm automatically going to start doing this thing, right? So we've got 221 in the middle. Standard deviation of 11 centimeters. What's the probability? So probability means I need decimal point, not percent. Okay, that a randomly selected high jumper has a personal best between 199 and 210. All right, so I don't need to draw the whole thing, do I? I just need to find 199 and 210. So am I going to go to the left or the right? Left. So we're going to go to the left. In order to go to the left, what am I going to have to do? Subtract 11. So I've got 1, 2 maybe. So when I subtract 11 the first time, what do I get? 210. And what do I get when I subtract 11 again? Gee, what do you know? 199. If you're not getting the numbers that are listed, you're doing something wrong. Okay? All right. So we know that this one is 34. What's this one in here? 13.5, and I want the number that's in between there, but I don't want the percent, I want the decimal. So what's my probability going to be? 0.135. Yeah. So I told you yesterday, especially for those of you who weren't here, you're going to have all the trig formulas, so you're going to have the trig chart that's in your notebooks or the front of your books. You will also have the sequence and series formulas, okay? You will not have that chart, so you need to make sure you have the numbers memorized, which hopefully you had them memorized for the test earlier this week, so hopefully you won't forget them in a week. Yeah. The unit circle is on the trig table, right?
Are we going to start doing the whole unit circle
after the final.
Oh,
okay, because we want to get the, basically the idea is you keep taking it till you get 100. Okay? Yeah, so everybody gets 100% hopefully on something. All right. Thank you. All right. JL read the newspaper that 29% of voters in her city were voting no in a local initiative. I think we had this almost exact same question the other day, didn't we? Yeah. Newspaper article stated that, different number, 1,890 people were originally polled. This is going to flip. What is the margin of error for this survey? Find the interval that is likely to contain the true population. So you will not have your margin of error formula. You need to know that one, right? That's margin of error. What's going to go in the N?
Population survey.
The number that's not a percent, right? There's only 2 numbers in the whole thing. All right, help me out with the calculator work. You tell me what number do we end up getting there?
0.023.
0.023, but that's a decimal. We need to convert it to a percent. What's the percent? 2.3%. So that's your margin of error. Margin of error, right? And then it wants me to do the likely interval. That's where this thing comes in here. So I'm going to do 29 minus the 2.3 and 29 plus the 2.3. So you tell me what's 29 minus 2.3.
26.7.
Okay, and then what's 29 plus 2.3? 31. So it's going to be between 26.7 to 31.3, and they're both percents, right? And they could ask the question either way. They may just ask for the margin of error. They may ask for the likelihood, or maybe they'll list both. I don't know. I don't remember how the question was written on the test. Okay? All right. Next one. Tell why each question may be biased. Describe how to correct the flaw. So in this one, it's not a multiple choice, but you're having to actually correct why the question is biased. So, which school board candidate's platform do you support? Okay, so what is wrong with that one? Yeah, there's not enough info, right? Because, do you know the platforms of the school board candidates? So to fix it, you'd probably maybe give them a pamphlet or give them some info. So give info about candidates. And that would fix it, right? All right, you think the presidential election is exciting. You should watch local politics and the school board. It's even worse. Oh, yeah. It's a constant at my house, so yeah. The politics of a school district are quite interesting. All right. A mother asks, have you cleaned your room? What's wrong with that one? Yeah, it's too sensitive because it's an authority figure. I don't know, did I spell that right? Sensitive. So how would we fix that? Have someone else ask. Have your friend ask? Yeah. Have someone else ask. Okay, sorry, I'm squishing it in. Do you agree that purchasing state-of-the-art laptops would be a good investment for schools to make?
No. Because they won't last anything.
All right, so I didn't ask you for your opinion. I asked, why is that for biased?
Because it says state-of-the-art. I don't know.
To be honest, I'm not sure either on that one, why they would.
I said it's fine.
Let me look and see if I can find the answer that we put last year.
If they just said laptops, then that's unbiased.
If they just said that laptops, it would be unbiased.
I think it has something to do with
Yeah,
state-of-the-art.
state of the art makes
State of the art,
yeah,
maybe?
it
Let's
makes
see
it,
what
like,
this
top
says here.
dog. Yeah, 100%.
Makes you really want it. Makes you want to steal it.
Yeah. Okay, let me find the stats from last year and see what I put. Self-selected. Open-ended problem. Nope, that's not it. According to a survey, demographic type. Okay. So what I put down on this one, and it was, you guys pegged the right part. That makes it sound really good, right?
Yeah.
So it's a leading question. Leading question. Kind of. See, I taught you something this year. All right, so it's a leading question, meaning you're trying to persuade them to say, yeah, the laptops would be good. Okay? So it's a leading question. So what we, to fix it, we would take out state of the art, right? And likely this one's going to be something like, because that one wasn't multiple choice, but it might be, if to change it into multiple choice, which of the following is unbiased, right? Or which, and they give you 3 that are biased and 1 that isn't, or the opposite, which of the following is biased, and then they give you 3 unbiased and 1 biased. So you just got to make sure you can identify the biased one. All right, describe and correct the errors in the following graph. What's wrong with it that makes it biased? Doesn't start at 0. I'm not sure you really need to correct that, but that's pretty much our most common one when we see the graphs, right? And I'll try to make sure the picture is not as fuzzy as the one was on the test, but, you know, no guarantees.
Are there 3D graphs too?
3D graphs?
Yeah, that makes like it's unbiased because it's like higher on the one side.
Not on this test.
Oh,
Okay. All right. So now we're into our sequences and series. We need to find a formula for a sub n for the arithmetic sequence. A sub 1 is 10 and A sub 12 is 76. So the first thing you need is the formula. Again, you're going to have this formula on the test. All right. I have to just find the generic formula, but the problem is I don't have my n, and oh, I do have my n, right? It's 12. Do I have the difference? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the formula once with the information I have to calculate the difference, and then I'm going to plug back into it a second time. So what am I going to put in for A sub n? Good. A sub 1, 10. N is going to be what? 12. What's 12 minus 1? 11. So I probably don't need the parentheses. All right. What am I going to do to move the 10? Good. What do we get? Good. And then we, oh, good. Nice number. When we get the difference is what? 6. So now we're going to go into this formula one more time. And again, we're writing a generic a sub n formula. We're putting that 10 back in. We're going to keep it as n minus 1, and I'm going to multiply by 6. That is not likely your answer, though. What are they going to probably do? Yeah, they're going to probably do the algebra. So 10 plus 6n minus 6. And then they're going to combine their like terms. So 6n plus what? 4. If they gave you this one as an answer, is it okay to choose that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. But it's likely they're going to keep going with the algebra.
You should make the test and like make it easy.
I think this is pretty easy.
Oh yeah, but easier.
I can take off the really easy ones if you want. Okay, then don't complain. All right. We're looking for a sub n again. We're going to use that same formula again. A sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times. This one's even easier than the last one. All right, so what am I putting in for a sub 1? 3. What are we putting in for the difference? -7. So that last question, 30, was a hard question, right? It really wasn't that bad. All right, so a sub n equals 3 plus 7n minus 7. So 7n minus what? 4. All right, we good with 31?
I mean, I guess.
Okay. I can make it harder. All right, it says nth partial sum of the arithmetic sequence. So we know it's arithmetic. We need to get the sum. We wrote this one down yesterday, but we'll write it down again today. A sub 1 plus a sub n. Again, you're going to have the formulas. But the names of the formulas might not be there. You might have to make sure you know which one goes to which. Okay? What are you going to put in for your n this time? So our n is easier than it was yesterday. Yesterday we had to calculate it. What's our first term?
-15.
Do we know the last term?
No.
No. Okay, so there's two things you can do. You could on your calculator. Let's see. What's going on with the difference there?
Adding 8.
Minus 15. So we're adding 8 every time, right? So you could keep adding 8 until you get to your 31st term, but you want to be really careful with that because you make sure you count that you actually have 31. You can mess that up really easily, okay? The other way to do it is to go into our a sub n formula, so a sub 31. Our first term is -15. This is the safe way to do it. Our n is 31 minus 1 times our difference of 8 that we calculated. So what is 31 minus 1? 30. Okay, help me out with the calculator stuff. 30 times 8 is 240, and then the -15 is, with that is 225? Everybody okay with that? All right, so now let's see what happens over here. Let's see, -15 and 225 is 2 what? 210. 2 into 210 how many times? And then 31 times 105.
A number.
Yes. What is it? You guys all have calculators. Hit the buttons. 3 what? 255. Okay. Do we agree? Somebody? Yeah? Okay, good. And if all else failed and you didn't know this, could you find all the numbers and then add them all up? Yeah, that'd be the really long way to do it. I wouldn't do it that way. But it can be done that way. All right. This one says nth term geometric, so a sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the, I believe it's n minus 1. All right, what is our a sub 1? 2. And then our r is our second term divided by our first term, which is what? 2. Okay, I remember now on this one. So that should be what your answer looks like. The only tricky thing I can see them doing on this is see how it's the same base. All right, when you're multiplying, what do we do with the exponents on bases? Multiplication turns into addition. So they could do this, which what would that do to your ones? Cancel. That would be the only tricky thing I see them doing. So start with this, and if they do the little, you know, just be aware that there could be the tricky thing going on if you don't find an answer. Okay? And it's only because these bases turned out the same. If they were different bases, you're going to see an answer like this. All right. Okay, we're back to trig. Okay, everybody has to get your notebook open. So that page that has your notes notebook. Get to the page that has the trig on it, right? Because I'm going to need your help with the formulas. Okay? I don't have them in front of me. All right, so product to sum, I'm starting, it's a cosine times a sine, so how does the formula start? What is it? Is it the 1/2? Okay, and then what's the next part? U plus V, okay. And then it's a plus, right? Or is it a minus? Minus, okay, and then what's next? Sine U minus V. All right, and again, if you're having trouble finding it, it should be inside the front page or two of your actual notebook. So I'm going to plop in what pi. Oh, we've done this one before. This one was on our study guide or on the last test of this stuff. Okay. So now let's see what we can do to simplify that. What's going to happen with the 1/2 and the 6? Cancel. So that's just going to be a 3. And then we've got sine. We've got pi over 8 plus pi over 8, which is 2 pi over 8, which is really what?
Pi over 4.
Pi over 4 minus pi over 8 minus pi over 8 is 0. It could stop there. Very well could stop there, right? In fact, I'm going to guess it's probably going to stop there. Could they keep going on their unit circle? Yeah, we could. Pi over 4 is what? Square root of 2 over 2. 0 is 0. So they could do this to us too. Square root of 2 over 2 minus 0, which is just really 3 square root of 2 over 2. I'm pretty sure it's going to stop here, if I remember right. Okay? But be prepared if it doesn't. If you see a numerical answer, go to the numerical answer. All right. Let's look at 35. Exact value. So this one is our chant that we do, right? So what's the sine part of the chant? Sine, cosine, cosine, sine, right? It's got a minus sign, so what sign am I going to, and it's a sine, so am I going to put in minus or plus? Minus, and then we plop in the U, plop in the V, plop in the U, plop in the V. Probably before that, I should have set up these triangles, right? Doesn't matter the order we do it, but we should have probably set up some nice triangles first. So let's see, our U triangle, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, right? So my opposite's 3, my hypotenuse is 5. What is that going to make my adjacent leg? 4. And quadrant 4, cosine's positive, right? So we're going to keep a positive on that one. V, you've got the adjacent over the hypotenuse. What is the other leg going to be? 5. But in quadrant 4, because that's the sine leg, right? Should sine be positive or negative? Negative. And that's a little bit of a trick right there, so make sure you watch for that. Okay. Sine of U. They gave that to us. What is it? Good. Cosine of V they gave to us, which is? Good. And then cosine of U, use the triangle. What do we get? 4 over 5. Good. Sine of V, use the triangle again. What do we get? Good. And again, make sure these make sense for quadrant 4. Cosine's positive, sine is negative. All right. So let's see. 13 times 5 is what? I think I heard somebody say it's 65, right? Negative 3 times 12? Good. And let's see. Negative 4 times negative 5 is going to be what? 20. Negative 36, positive 20 is? Over 65. Okay. We good? Okay. Let's keep going on that one. This one is a sum to product, so you need to find that formula. You've got a sine plus a sine. What number does the sum to product start with? 2. Okay, 2 sine, and this is where we divide by 2. It's a plus first, right? What comes next? Is it sine or cosine? Cosine, and it's a minus second. Am I right about that? Okay. And we have 4 theta and 6 theta. Oh, this one's got a weird thing going on. 6 theta. Okay. So 2 sine. What's 4 plus 6? 10 theta. And then 4 minus 6 is? Yep. So there's something extra going on in that back part. 10 over 2 is what? 5 theta. And then cosine of negative theta. And remember, it's the last column, the second sign down. When we have cosine of a negative thing, what do we get to turn the negative into? Positive. So that's going to go away. So it'd be 2 sine 5 theta cosine of theta. Hopefully we don't do that. Hopefully we don't do that on the test, but you never know what we have up our sleeves. Just know that you really shouldn't have a negative inside of a trig. You got to get rid of it using that cofunction identity. Okay. All right, we good? Okay. It gives us a sine. It gives us a cosine. We have to find the secant. Is the sine going to do us any good here?
No.
No, it's way more information than we need. How do we get the secant? Flip what? Cosine. So we're going to flip this and then do what to it? You almost could get away with not doing the work, right? Because once you've done that flip, you probably could look at your answers and pick up this as the rationalized. Okay. All right. So this one does use those cofunction identities twice, right? We're supposed to write an equivalent expression. So we just talked about it. When we have a negative inside the cosine, what happens? Positive. So cosine theta. Now look at the sine. So look up on the windows for the sine. What happens with the sine?
It goes up
And so it goes to negative sine theta. There's nothing else you're going to do with that, I don't think. Because we really aren't allowed to split up that denominator, so it's going to stop there. All it is testing you on, do you understand that identity? Okay. All right. Determine a pair of coterminal angles. So to get coterminal angles, what do we have to do? Add what?
2 pi.
2 pi. In over 6 world, what are we going to add? 12 pi over 6. Okay, so what's pi plus 12 pi? How many coterminal angles did it want? Pair. Could I add, so that's one of them, right? Could I add 12 pi over 6 again? What's that going to be? What if those weren't my choices? What else can I do?
Subtract.
We could subtract. So you really got to watch. And we might do this more than once before you get one of your answers, okay? So watch for that. So it's going to be negative what? 11 pi over 6. Or I could go more, right? I could subtract 12 pi over 6 again. And that would give us what? Negative 23 pi. Am I right? All right, let's try 40. Okay, so we're going to go to, I don't have my calculator on again, of course. So we got to convert to degrees, minutes, seconds. Let me see if I can do this with you. So everybody, make sure, first of all, your calculator's in degree mode. Everybody remember how to do that? So go up to the little triangle at your scratch pad and double check that. It should be because you put it there yesterday, but you never know. You want to make sure you're in the right mode. So settings and status, dock settings. Make sure it's in degree. If it's not, change your angle mode. Hit make default and click OK. All right. Let me see if I can find the right button. It's not that one. I'm thinking we have to use the book, don't we? All right, so let's type that number in. 176.541. And I'm going to put my degree symbol. Do you guys remember where the degree symbol was from yesterday? It's under the question mark. The question mark explanation point. Get the degree symbol and put it next to it. So I'm typing in exactly what I've got here. And then if I go to, I think it's the book button.
Where's the question mark explanation?
Next to G. All right, let me go. It's down on standard deviation on this calculator. Let's see. We can get it to go up. You're looking for DMS or degrees, minutes, seconds. We might have done this wrong, but let's see. It's quite a bit to get up to the top, isn't it? I'm probably doing it the long way. Anybody find it yet? Okay, oh, there it is. Okay, so what I did was I hit the book button. Everybody knows the book button, right? So hit your book button. And then see how there's little tabs at the top? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. You want the tab 1. And then scroll down or up to, and it's a little triangle and it says DMS. Let me hit that and see if it works. Yep, there it goes. So it's literally you have this typed into your calculator. You typed that in, you found this DMS, and then it gives you the answer of 176 degrees, 32 minutes, and 27.6 seconds. Just like yesterday, you notice how these first numbers are exactly the same? So really all we're doing is converting the minutes and the seconds. Everybody find it okay?
Yeah.
It just takes a minute to get there. There may be a shorter way to do it, but I don't see it like a DMS on top of anything. The scientifics is usually obvious. Much more obvious than that one is. All right, can I go on? All right, we've got like 7 problems to go. All right, guys, sketch the angle in standard position. You could almost look at your unit circle for this, couldn't you? All right, is 5 pi over 6 isn't even, because this is pi, right, which is really 6 pi over 6. So isn't 5 pi over 6 like right here? So literally your angle would be like this. And again, you're going to be picking from 4 pictures. Okay. Again, if you want me to, I can take that one off the test. Okay, I'll leave it there then. All right. They gave us sine alpha. They want me to find secant. I even gave you a hint. What are we supposed to do? Sketch a triangle. Okay, so let's sketch a triangle. There's my alpha. What is sine in SOHCAHTOA world? Opposite hypotenuse. So my opposite's 4, my hypotenuse is 5. If I did my Pythagorean, what would I get on my adjacent? That triangle's not drawn to scale. Okay, because my 3 side looks longer than my 4 side. All right, I've got to find secant. In SOHCAHTOA world, secant is what over what? Hypotenuse over adjacent. What's your hypotenuse? 5 over 3. I hope you agree with me when I say the trig on this final is way easier than what we put ourselves through this semester. Okay? And again, those of you that weren't here yesterday, I told them I will replace any test score that is lower than your final. Okay? All of them. Not just 1 or 2, all of them that are lower than your final. Okay? So you still have a shot at getting that A. All right, we got to find the exact value of this, tangent of 150. Okay. 150 on our unit circle is in which quadrant? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, okay. In quadrant 2 is tangent positive or negative? Should be negative. Okay, so we need to watch out for that. Tangent is the sine divided by the cosine. So what's your y value for 150 in quadrant 1, or quadrant 2, sorry? So 1/2. And then your cosine would be good. Okay, what happens? What's our shortcut? 2's cancel, so we've got 1 over negative square root of 3. That won't be our answer. We would have to rationalize it. But again, looking at this, you're probably going to be able to look at your answer choices, especially if you're crunched for time, and be able to pick out the right one. And always double check your sign. We said quadrant 2 tangent should be negative. It came out negative. All right. Looking at 44. What are they asking us to look for in this question? Cosecant of what? Pi. So really they're doing this, even though the question asks it in a funny way. Okay? So you have to get over the fact that the question's asking it that way. Cosecant of pi is, cosecant's the reciprocal of what? Sine. Okay, so we need to look at sine of pi. Sine is out 1, so this is out -1 up 0. What's the sine of pi? 0. So what do we have to write for this one? Undefined, right? Because we don't want our papers to explode because we divided by 0. Right? That would be bad. Okay. Oops. All right, what's this one asking us to do? Tangent of what? 3 pi over 4. Okay, that's a unit circle problem too, isn't it? So which quadrant is 3 pi over 4 in? 2. It's that one right there. We've got square root of 2, negative square root of 2 over 2, and square root of 2 over 2. So let's see. Sine over cosine. Be square root of 2 over 2. And negative square root of 2 over 2, which is going to reduce to what? -1. All right. 46. Determine the graph of y equals 4 cosine x. All right. So we have to determine, first of all, which ones look like cosines and which ones look like sines. Okay. So does sine start at 0 or at 1? 0. So which one starts at 0? E. So E is gone because it's definitely a sine graph. Okay. It's supposed to have an amplitude of what? 4. So which ones get knocked out based on that? A and... Even though the graphs are identical looking, you got to watch the scale, right? So is this a positive or a negative?
Positive.
Positive. So should it start up high or down low?
High.
High. So it's got to be answer choice D. And again, this is one of those things, there's a lot of thinking to it. There's not a whole lot of writing stuff down. Unless you want to go through the process of sketching the graph, but we didn't want to torture you about that, right? All right, I think we're doing the last question that we're going to write down this year, aren't we? Isn't that awesome? Isn't that scary, too, at the same time? All right, arc sine of negative square root of 3 over 2. We're going to use our unit circle for it. Is the sine the x value or the y value? Y. So I need you to go around. Okay, so remember, this is the thing where these are in certain quadrants, right? Arc sine is in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. And arc tangent is also there. Okay? The funny one is arc cosine, right? Arc cosine is quadrants 1 and 2. Okay? So you're looking only in quadrants 1 and 4. We're looking for negative square root of 3 over 2 to be your y value. So where does that happen at? What radian measure? What is it? 5 pi over 3. So right here on this one. Okay. Done. Reasonable? I hope. We could have made it worse, couldn't we? Much worse. Okay? All right, so the idea is you have about, I don't know, a little bit more than 10 minutes right now. So at this point, what you have to do, okay, you have some performance tasks out there. We probably don't have enough time to pull the Chromebooks right now.
What are the performance tests have to be?
So for seniors, performance tasks have to be done by the 17th. For everybody else, it's the 24th. Okay?
I like that.
You like that? All right. So when we're done with the final next week, on Wednesday, I will be giving the underclass one extra little thing. It's not math analysis. Okay? I give you guys a little project to start getting you ready for your next year. Okay? Which hopefully gets us a jump start on to thinking about some of these things we could be thinking about over the summer. Okay? That will also probably be due whatever the day of our final is, which I think is the 25th. Okay? So your performance task due the 24th, your little other extra project the 25th. What we will also start doing is probably like Thursday of that week. We'll give you Wednesday to practice your unit circle. As we'll probably take a unit circle quiz every day until you get 100% on it. Okay? And literally it's just, remember how we learned how to memorize it the one day?
Yeah.
So write down all the radian measures, write down all the coordinates. Okay? And that video is still up on Haiku if you need to practice. Okay? And we'll probably time you at 8 to 10 minutes. All right? So we'll do that really quick at the beginning, and then you'll have the rest of the period to work those days. Okay? And then at that point, seniors, you guys are just hanging out until they don't want you in class anymore. All right? Any questions? So tomorrow's a work day, right? Just in case Mrs. Ballard doesn't make it back from the field trip today, right? Goes into labor. So you'll be working tomorrow. All right? You shouldn't need me anymore at this point, right? You've planned well enough? I know. Thank you, Sheldon. All right. But at this point, you know, the videos are going to have to suffice if I for some reason go into labor. So, all right. The rest of the period is yours to work. We will do a huge stamping tomorrow is what we decided, right? So I will have everything ready to go. You should have at this point, should have all the homework done, right?
Oh, yeah.
So including the week 17, which was the 1 to 47 on this. Okay, so homework is also, that's the other thing you got to make sure is done by whenever the end of your, depending upon what grade level you're in, whenever the end is, that's when I want the homework by. Okay? All right, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to hit the stop button here.